Hey everybody, welcome to What Makes Us Human podcast. How y'all doing? What's up, Pia? How you doing, girl?
Doing just fine. The holidays are over, thank goodness, and we can resume life.
Yes, right. We done
Yes,
got past all of that.
thank
Woo, and we
goodness.
made it. We made
We
it
made it.
unscathed,
We made another
hopefully.
year, 2024. Brand new year, brand
Yes,
new day, brand new me, brand new you.
that's right. Happy New Year to all
Happy
of
New
our
Year.
listeners and everybody
Yes,
who watches us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Let
yes.
us know how you feel about the episodes. Write us in the chat and comments.
Hit
Follow
that
us on
like
Instagram.
button. Yes.
That's it. Hit that like button and that subscribe button. We want to hear from you and we want to know what resonates with you. But Pia, tonight, I have a topic that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And it's actually inspired by some conversations I've been having in session with my clients.
All right.
So I work with individuals and couples,
Mhm.
and I posed this question to a couple that I was working with. And then I started to pose the question in other sessions. And I asked them, what do you believe is the foundation of love? And I use the analogy, if you were building a house of love
Okay.
and you had to make the foundation solid and secure, what would you build your love on? What is the cornerstone of love for you? And I
That's a
got
good one.
so many different answers. So
Right.
I want to ask you that question and I want to have that conversation tonight.
Okay. So, what is the foundation of love? For me, I really think it's trust.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I truly believe that I have a avoidant attachment, right? And
Mm.
so with that avoidant attachment, um, I tend to keep an emotional distance until I trust you.
Okay.
Now, once I trust you, that's all there is to the situation. Then I'm more comfortable. I feel like I feel safer to express my thoughts, my feelings, my
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability, without fear. And here's the big thing for me, without retaliation.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so once I can do that and I can communicate and trust you, I think that builds my foundation, and everything comes on top of that.
Everything stems from that.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. How
so
about
let
you?
me ask you a question
Oh, okay.
because
Mhm.
I had a few clients who answered trust as well. And I
Okay.
used to believe that trust was the foundation of love.
Mhm.
But I posed this question to my clients when they said trust. So I said, well, what happens when trust is broken? Do you no longer love that person? Or can you love with a situation with broken trust?
So I can love with broken trust because I can trust that whatever was done, it wasn't done out of malice, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the person, whether it's a platonic relationship or a romantic relationship,
Mm-hmm.
there is love there, and people make mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing of happily ever after, the whole myth, is such a toxic and dangerous thing because people make mistakes, people mess up,
Absolutely.
only in popular culture.
Right.
But when you trust, you can communicate effectively, right? You can be empathetic, and you can manage conflicts, at least for me. So
Got you.
I still feel like trust is my bottom line. That's my foundation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I made the analogy that for me, when I think about trust, I think it's actually too fragile a thing to be the foundation of love. It's necessary for love. I think you have to have trust and establish trust and establish a bond that's rooted in, I believe in you and I believe that you're going to honor who you say you are to be to me. So I think trust is important in a relationship, but when I thought about building a house on trust, I felt like trust was as fragile as an egg because the minute I drop the ball, as you say, make a mistake or a choice, and I betray somebody's trust, I've cracked that foundation. I've cracked the ground. That doesn't mean the love can't sustain after my mistake or after my choice. That doesn't mean we can't move forward in love, but there'll always be cracks in the foundation because I have betrayed the trust. And so that's why I was like, trust is a little too fragile for me. It's a little too subjective and fickle for me to be my foundation. And I started to sit and think about, like, how do I really know I love somebody? And and then I'm also, I believe in the word, and I'm not religious, but I read the word and I get a message from it. And so I went to the word to see what they define love as, what the Bible defined love as, what scripture defined love as. And forgiveness kept coming up. It just kept coming up. And then forgiveness just felt right for me. If I love you, I have to be able to hold you in a place of forgiveness. Like you said, everybody's going to mess up. There is nobody that's perfect. There's going to be a time where people might be selfish or might make a choice or a mistake that harms their person or the people that they love. But for me, when you can offer forgiveness in spite of somebody's worst choice,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you have to offer access because you forgive. And I wanna add that disclaimer. Just because you forgive doesn't mean that they have to have the same access as they had before the harm was done. Some people, the consequences of their action requires you to separate from them. But to really truly forgive in your heart and to know that that person is still worthy of grace in spite of the worst thing that they could do, because that's how I feel that God loves us. The worst thing we could do, there's consequences to our behaviors,
Yes.
but God is still like, I still love you, don't I forgive you? And so I was like, forgiveness to me is the foundation of love. And a lot of people don't know how to forgive. They don't forgive themselves and they don't forgive others.
That's a good one. I still maintain for me,
Got you.
it's
Trust.
trust. For me, trust is critical when facing challenges and changes, right? It allows me the confidence that I can rely on the other person to work
Mm-hmm.
through this together. That we're in this together. We can work through this. Um, but forgiveness is a good one. I think forgiveness would be my next layer.
Got you.
Definitely,
Got you.
definitely, yeah. But
Why do you
without
what do you
trust, I
think?
can't forgive you. If I don't
Right. Well,
trust
that's
you,
true too.
I
That's
can't
true too.
forgive you.
I understand that. What do you think gets in the way of people connecting in love? I have a lot of couples that I work with, and there's just a disconnect in how they interact with each other. It's like one person always feels like the other person just doesn't get them, doesn't hear them.
Mhm.
What do you think gets in the way of people connecting with their partners?
Well, yeah, I think they're past traumas, right? Love is definitely, I think love is a learned skill, right?
Yes. Yes.
The idea of love that's just like spontaneous, effortless feeling that you see in the movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is definitely not true. It's
Yeah, it's not
fictional,
realistic.
right? No, it's not realistic. It's actually a skill that is learned. It's a skill that it's something that is modeled, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's something that we have to practice. When we
Mm-hmm.
don't practice it, we don't develop it. When we've had poor models for it, right? We
Mm-hmm.
have and show unhealthy patterns of love. So I think a lot of times people's childhood traumas or traumas of the past get in the way of love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How they show it, how they express it, or
Yeah,
what
there
they even perceive as being love.
absolutely there's a lot of people walking around that are emotionally handicapped
Yes.
and just really don't possess the skill.
No.
I always ask my clients when they're dealing with a certain situation of conflict, I always ask them to assess, are you trying to communicate to connect or are you trying to communicate to be correct? Because you can't do both. You You can't be, I'm right, but I want to make a connection with you and I want to figure out this problem and I want to solve this issue. Do you really want resolve or do you want to be correct?
Most people, most people want to be right.
Right.
Right?
Because that's the ego. You're coming
Yes.
from a place of ego.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pridefulness. And you
Mm,
got to turn that off. When you're in partnership,
yes.
you have to learn how to put your ego aside
You
when you're
do.
in a partnership,
You do.
especially a partnership that you want to be harmonious and peaceful. Like you got to learn to set that pride aside. It doesn't really serve you in situations to always want to be right.
Yeah. 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 No, but that's also a learned skill, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is.
And a lot of people have not learned how to put that aside for the betterment of the relationship, right?
Right,
How to meet in the middle as opposed to I'm right, right? This is
right.
what it is. I don't want to hear it. That's it. Point blank, period, door closed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know how many times I've had to tell couples that I work with, like, I'm not here to validate who's right or wrong.
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm not refereeing this argument for you. That's not my role in this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get to the root of why you're disconnected and how we can work on reconnection.
Yeah.
That's what we got to work on. It's a lot. And
Well,
I
you
think
know
that
what?
go ahead.
You you used the word just now, reconnection. I have found that with some couples, it's connection because they
Uh,
were never in a
Never
healthy
actually connected.
relationship and connected in a healthy way. So a lot
Mm.
of times the work is how do we connect with each other?
Okay. Right. It's not even a reconnection because assuming that you had a healthy and thriving connection to begin with. Absolutely.
Hmm. Hmm.
Absolutely. And I found myself talking to these couples about their relationship with love for self and how it's getting in the way
Yeah,
of the connection with their partner.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That it
definitely.
really is a me thing that's happening in this argument, in this conflict, in this situation, that the holdups are internal and they are bleeding out into the shared relationship that you have with this person.
Hmm. Hmm. So let me ask you this. Do you believe in the saying, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others?
I believe if you don't love yourself, you won't experience healthy love with others.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I believe that people do believe that they love other people and really struggle with self-love. So
Hmm.
I won't say that people are incapable of being in a loving relationship and struggle with self-love, but it most of the time isn't healthy.
Yes.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of codependency, it's a lot
Mm,
of insecurities, it's a lot of holdups, it's a lot of trauma triggers. It
yes.
isn't a healthy love because you don't have a healthy self-image of love. You
Hmm.
can't really recognize what's safe and healthy in love because you don't have that love for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you attach yourself to things that temporarily make you feel good, but in the long run really aren't doing you any good. That's
Mm,
what I've experienced
yeah. Yeah.
with people who struggle with self-love. They
Yeah.
stick around and they deal with things that really don't serve them
Exactly.
because of their lack of self-love.
Yeah. 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 No, I truly believe that also. So yeah, definitely. Definitely. And when
Yeah,
working with couples, you find that a lot.
yeah. Oh yeah. And there comes, in my opinion, there comes a pivotal moment for people. I see it happen. That's usually when they come to therapy, when they have that pivotal moment and they're like, this is dishonoring me. And I want more, but I just don't know how to get more. I don't know what step to take. I feel stuck, but
Hmm.
I know I don't want this. Then
Hmm.
they come to therapy and they're like, my world is upside down. Help me figure it out, doc. And all along, they're saying what they want. I want to be free of this. I don't want to feel miserable anymore. I want peace. I want happiness. I want to
I
be
want to feel
somebody's
loved.
priority. I
Yes.
want to
Yeah.
be loved.
I want to be
And they're
heard.
saying exactly what they need, but it's
Yeah.
like they are afraid to go ahead and get it.
Hmm.
And I think that
Well, they
that's
don't
the
know
self
how.
love part.
They don't know how to get it because they've never
Yeah.
had it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've experienced that and seen that. You just don't know how. You know what you don't want, right? And in a lot of ways, you know what you do want, but you
Yeah.
just don't know how to achieve it. So when you work with individuals, how do you kind of guide them to that point where they can experience loving themselves in a healthy way and loving others in a healthy way?
Um, I think for me, I focus a lot. I do a lot of work around building one's trust and engagement in their intuition. I
Hmm.
believe that when you practice using your intuition and trusting your intuition, you build a knowing of self
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and you make choices that honor that intuition. And you're not choosing to engage in something that takes away from your power, like you
Yeah.
were when you were disconnected to your needs, when you weren't sitting and listening to yourself.
Hmm.
So I do a lot of work around, excuse me, just asking self-interrogating questions.
Okay. Okay.
Why does this bother me when I interact in this way? Paying attention to your triggers in relationships.
Hmm.
What makes you feel most insecure? Like learning yourself on that level so you
Hmm.
can work through those holdups, work through those narratives that you tell yourself, get to a healthier place emotionally and mentally where you aren't so harsh on yourself, when your self judgment isn't so high, when you're speaking kinder to yourself,
When you're
when you're
showing
treating
yourself
yourself
empathy.
better.
Yeah.
And then after we get to that point, then we start to build the expectations of what you want in other people.
Hmm.
After you've already begun to meet those expectations for yourself. I
Okay.
give an exercise to all of my clients, especially ones who are seeking relationships or in toxic relationships or struggling in relationships. I tell them to write down a list as an exhaustive list. So everything they can think of about their ideal partner and who that person is.
Hmm.
You know, not the superficial, oh, I want them 5'5" with
Yeah.
green eyes,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
who who they are as a person, their
Yeah.
spirit, their being, their personality, what they offer you as a partner that makes them the perfect person.
Hmm.
And I want you to list all of those things. And then after you list them out, I want you to look at the list and I want you to go through every item and ask yourself if you do that for you.
Yes.
Are you that partner to yourself? Because the most important relationship you'll ever be in
It's
is
with
the
yourself.
relationship with self.
Hmm.
And I actually got that exercise from when I was praying. I was praying one day, and I'm always talking to God. And sometimes God talks back, and I'm praying like, God, I was like India Ari up in here. God, I'm ready for love. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I need a boo, God. And I don't want to do this alone. And I was deep in meditation and prayer. And then I heard, I already gave you the person you're supposed to love. And I was like, what? No, you didn't. I'm over here single, single. I'm like, single as a
Hmm.
dollar bill. I
Hmm.
ain't got
Hmm.
nobody. And God was like, oh gosh, she's missing the point. God was like,
Hmm.
you fool, I gave you you. If you love you like you expect somebody else to love you, then you'll be ready to receive the blessing of a partner.
Yeah, well, for me, this goes back to trust, right? Because to me, part of trust is trusting myself and my
Mm,
judgment, right? The self trust for me is vital for my own personal growth,
mm-hmm.
to be able to bring the best version of myself into a relationship, right?
Yeah,
And so once again, it's all about trust. If I don't trust me, then I'm not confident in the relationship. I'm not showing up as my best person.
yeah,
And normally those relationships for me have crumbled.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's self trust, that's self knowing. That's what I'm talking about. That building that intuition up,
Yeah.
learning to
Yeah.
listen to yourself
Yeah.
and not lie to yourself. A lot of times, I, from personal experiences where I've faced hardship in love, and I won't use the word failure, but have learned my most toughest
Yes.
lessons, I'll say,
Yes.
in love is when I wasn't being true to myself and
Mm-hmm.
trusted my gut.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked myself out of things that I knew were real.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 You convinced yourself that it wasn't real. You
It
gave
wasn't what it was,
excuses.
right?
Exactly. You gave excuses for
Oh
whatever
yeah.
those indiscretions were.
Oh
Because
yeah.
we're really good at finding reasons and giving
Of
excuses.
course.
And it'll get better, or next time
Mm-hmm.
I'll see, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it happens again, and we give it another next time, and until we just can't take it anymore. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me, my healing came when I forgave myself for doing that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I sat with myself and really, like I said, asked those self-interrogating questions about why. Why did you feel so comfortable dishonoring yourself, putting up with
Yeah.
things that you knew
Yeah.
you didn't deserve to put up with,
Exactly.
dealing with
Exactly.
situations that you knew you shouldn't have. And I had to make peace with it, and I had to forgive myself
Yeah. Yeah.
and say, you know what, I did the best I could at that time, and that's what I thought I
Yeah.
was supposed to be doing, but now I know better, and I know I deserve better, and I
Yeah.
love me differently, and I won't accept what I accepted then, but I forgive myself for
Mm-hmm.
not knowing better. And that was when I think I had real peace. And that
Mm-hmm.
was when I could
Mm-hmm.
then offer space to forgive the other person in the situation.
Yeah. 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 No, that's true. That's true. And there are plenty of times when we do the best with what we have and what we know. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we want love so badly that we make those excuses, or we'll say, is this me? Am I overreacting?
We'll
Maybe.
gaslight ourselves, honey.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm good at that, right? And that's why, once again, for me, it goes back to trust and understanding how to trust myself, because
Mm,
I will doubt that feeling that I have in the pit of my stomach. I'll say, well, maybe not, maybe it's not, it's me. I'm just overreacting, or I'm
mm-hmm.
asking for too much, right? And
Mm-hmm.
until I learn how to trust that feeling, how to trust that voice in the back of
Yeah.
my head, right? And once I did that, then I was also able to forgive myself for staying in places where I had no business being.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Just totally dishonoring yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the answer to this question is always going to be different for different people. And honestly, that's what makes us human, is that
Yes,
we have a different opinion and experience of love. Everybody needs something different in love. And I love that this question gives opportunity for people to talk about the differences that they need in love. Cuz for you, if I were trying to be a potential partner and I asked you that and you said trust is the foundation of your love and I said forgiveness is the foundation of mine, that's how we have to interact with each other. I have to make sure
yes,
that I establish trust with you and uphold trust, and trust
exactly.
is at the forefront of my mind and in my interactions with you. I don't want to do anything to betray that trust, because for you, that's the foundation of your love.
Yes, yeah,
And
yeah.
for me, I need to see that you have a forgiving heart, that you have a heart of forgiveness, that you're able to offer forgiveness, and that you also receive forgiveness,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
forgiveness is the foundation of love for me.
Yeah.
So I love that this question is open
It's
to
so subjective.
interpretation.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely, and it has a lot to do with our past
Mm-hmm.
experiences, right? I think this question really taps into how we've interacted in the past, things that we've learned, things that we've seen, we've modeled, things that we've experienced. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for bringing this subject
Yeah,
to
this was a
to
good
the forefront.
question.
This was pretty good. This is pretty good. And for anybody out there who wants to unpack and learn more about the ways in which they trust, and the ways in which they interact with other people, whether it be in romantic relationships or platonic relationships, interact with the world and themselves, they can contact us. They can reach us at transformcounselingservices.com, or you can check us out on Instagram at Transformation Counseling SVCU. How can they reach you, Ayanna?
Well, yes, you can find me, like Pia said, on Instagram. My direct Instagram is Harriet Returned, HARRIETREND. So follow me on Instagram. I love to connect with you. You can find me on the Transformation website as well if you are interested in working directly with me. We appreciate you guys for watching the podcast. We hope that you're enjoying the conversations and the topics. Send us some topic ideas of things that you want to hear us talk about, things that you're interested in hearing our opinions on. We would love to interact with you. So make sure and like and subscribe and share with friends and family and let us know what you think about what we got to say, what makes us human.
Such division.
That's it. That's right. So the conversation will continue. All right, folks, y'all have a beautiful night. Bye.